I really need this book, and they're just like, we don't have it, no one has it. It's like, I need it!
That man and his merch.
Hello and welcome to That Man. That is me merchandise, and today we are looking at Skull-Face Bookseller Honda-San. Now, for anybody who has worked in the retail industry, they can tell you it is not an easy thing. And in Skull-Face Bookseller Honda-San, that really shows up in this story. Now, if you do like this kind of content, if you do love anime, manga, figures and all of that stuff, please leave a like, please consider subscribing, and we will look at this intriguing title. So, Skull-Face Bookseller Honda-San tells the story of the long-suffering Honda-San as he works in a book shop, and he is in charge of the graphic novels. And these are just a few short stories in which he comes to terms with some of the more eccentric customers and how he prioritizes customer service to try and ensure they get what they want. However, a lot of them have quite unreasonable demands. They just genuinely are looking for something, and he really wants to help them. And that's what's so intriguing about this story. Now, Honda-san has been working at the bookstore for a long time, and yeah, he is trying his very best. However, like we said, the customers are quite difficult. So we have, for example, and this is one of the things I do find, is that it is very more geared at the unreasonable demands of people who really want boy love. And that's one of the things I kind of found quite weird. Obviously, boy love is still a niche product over here in the UK. Even when I was in Japan, there was quite a lot of it, but it was still probably about equal. So, Bookseller Honda-san, he is usually minding about his business, and he's usually discussing the topic of the day, which tends to be a different aspect of the bookstore. And this usually relates to either him remembering a memorable thing with a previous assistant or with a customer. And that's the joy of this series. We get to see how sometimes ridiculous requests come out from customers. For example, in the very first chapter, Honda-san comes across a man who really needs to get some yaoi for his granddaughter, and he's just going about it just like, have you seen this book? Have you seen this book? Do you know this one? And he's just like, that's basically porn. We don't sell that kind of stuff. And because he's looking for a specific doujinshi, and he's just like, brilliant, thank you, and then just goes about his day. And then it's the whole kind of, oh, I kind of feel bad for this kind of person because we couldn't fulfill what he wanted. Or it's stuff like out of print books. Someone will come in asking for an out of print book, and they're just like, we don't have it, we haven't had it for a while. The ones I actually liked the most was the one where it was related to the people who wanted out of stock books. So I found this when I was in Japan. I was desperate to find One Piece Volume 91 and 92. However, at that point, they were quite hard to find. Most of the stores had sold out of them. So it kind of goes in a little bit in depth on how these things work, and it's just kind of like where a lot of people come in asking for them, and then be like, oh no, more people are asking for them, this has been more popular than they kind of expected. And then they're just like, oh well, we'll ring up the publisher, and say, the publisher's like, we don't have any, there's going to be another here for another 2 weeks, and it's like, we need them now. And I love that kind of hectic way of putting it about it, because this is the kind of thing that people will come in for. I did my time at Toys R Us, of all places, and I worked at Christmas where the popular stuff, we couldn't get it, but people were coming in every single day. People were braving the snow. We had the worst snow for a long time. People were coming in braving it to get this toy, and we're just like, we haven't had any in for like weeks. And it's like, why not? Where is it? And we're just like, whoa, if you'd phoned ahead we would have told you. And it was like, no! And it was just like, man, people really need their stuff. And we see in the kind of manga community every now and again we'll see somebody who's like, I really need this book, and they're just like, we don't have it, no one has it. It's like, I need it! And I love that kind of hectic way of putting things about it. It was really unique, and I really enjoyed it, because one of the things that really bugs me is that people seem to assume the customer is always right. 9 times out of 10, the customer is never right. But we as employees, we have to ensure that the customer feels that they are right, even if we tell them no. And it's one of those things that it's like, I love the whole difference of the way this was brought about. I love the way that it kind of brought things up where we over here would not talk about that. We would not look at it kind of that way, and I loved it for that aspect. The one is where they come on to recommendations, and this is the one thing I loved, because it really struck a chord with me, because they come in, people come in and say, oh, what can you recommend? This is going back to my my Toys R Us days. I was on the game shop. So the people would come in and just be like, oh, what can I get? And it was just like, well, Donkey Kong Country Returns has just came out this week. It's a return to the Donkey Kong Country franchise. It's an absolute fantastic game. We've had hands on. You can have a go and say, oh, brilliant. And then they'll play it and then say, brilliant. Where's GTA? And we're just like, and I really like that kind of aspect to it. This happens in here where it's just kind of like, recommend me a title which has got shonen, shoujo, blood, gore, but a heartwarming story, and they're just like, the Honda-San runs back and gets all these other recommendations, and they're just like, recommend them this, recommend them that, and then they're just like, oh yeah, he just went and bought Berserk. And I love that kind of aspect, because that does happen day to day, where people will recommend stuff and they'll just go, brilliant, thanks for the recommendation, and then just go out and read whatever they used to always read, or read a popular title. This is the one that I always love, is that someone, even when we were talking on in one of our Manga Tuber group chats, we were talking about how people don't seem to try unique series anymore. They're just like, oh, well, what could be fun? And it's like, well, you could read Skull-Face Honda-San and say, brilliant, thank you, I'll read My Hero Academia. And we were just like, yeah. But to sum all of this up, Skull-Face Bookseller Honda-San, if you have worked in retail, if you have worked with the general public, if you have an interest in how manga publishing and bookshelves and comic books work, stuff like that, kind of have a kind of work, and obviously it's a little bit superficial, it's a little bit more glamorous, try checking out this one. It's a lot of fun, and you will get some enjoyment out of it if you love that kind of aspect of work life. And I feel that it's a really good shout out. If you've never worked in the public sector, or if you've never worked with customers, try checking this one out, because it will give you kind of idea, and you might find that you are some of these people. I mean, like I said, my only issue was that it was very much focused on, well, boy love kind of stuff, and I was just like, because we don't see that much here, I kind of felt, I'm not sure if that's kind of true. But then I was just like, you know what, it's Japan, it probably is true. Even when we were in Japan, we walked down, like, we went to Mandarake, and we walked down an aisle and was just like, this is just boy love porn everywhere. And then it was just like, I just turned the corner and it was just like, there's more of it. And then we just went into a section, it was like, oh, okay, shonen, and then just like 2 steps later, it's like, this is just hentai. And I love that weird aspect of the fact that you could just walk from different shops and like, in the same shop, and just walk around the different parts and then just be like, yeah, this is completely different whatsoever. Yeah. That's it from me. If you did enjoy this, please leave a like, please consider subscribing, and I will see you next time, where we will look at Combatants Will Be Dispatched, the new series from Konosuba creator. See you then. Thanks for coming, and thanks again for staying. Goodbye.